song became tears. The family was left split, torn between terror and loyalty as they attempted to make sense of an almost unbelievable circumstance. Fans and followers are left wondering about what they believe to be true about the singer, her relationships, and what happened behind closed doors. And just when it seemed like the story couldn't get any more stunning, there were rumors circulating that a life-altering diagnosis had been confirmed by a medical professional. Every new post is viewed by doctors, hospital visits, and private remarks. Supplying the fire with fuel, was this the outcome of a night of careless decisions, or something much darker? As a tale spreads, the stakes increase, the stress increases. And everyone from close friends to the same question is being asked by casual followers. What actually took place that evening? The story is far from over, and the twists are only starting to reveal themselves, so stay with us. We delve deeply into the drama, the feelings, and the explosive events that have left fans talking, wondering, and yearning for answers all over. You're going to be astounded by what you're about to hear, and perhaps even challenging what you believed to be true. Tamar Braxton and the pivotal night. Long before the night started, the tension had been building. Beneath what was meant to be an enjoyable evening with friends, there was a subtle undercurrent. Radiant as ever, Tamar Braxton came to the event with a charisma that captivated everyone. The music throbbed. For a brief period, it seemed like any other night as laughter reverberated throughout the apartments. However, there was a feeling of expectation, an unseen burden that hovered over each conversation. People who knew her well saw it. She laughed a bit too loudly, and her gaze lingered on specific discussions. Fans were observing her from a distance through social media posts and it appeared as though she was calculating every word and every look. I had no notion that the evening would turn into something truly remarkable. It began innocently sufficient, with a glass of wine in hand and her laughter blending with the music. Tamar was speaking with a group of friends in the living room. Although everyone appeared relaxed, there were subtle tensions underneath. Were brewing already. Tamar and Mendez had silently entered the room together, and one friend, clearly uneasy, kept looking at them. It was not surprising that they were there. However, there was a sense of discomfort about it. Whispers started to spread. A feeling of both interest and anxiety. The family, who had come together for what was meant to be a fun reunion, exchanged looks that spoke more than words could. Though nobody discussed the unease that had taken hold, feeling high. As the evening wore on, discussions became arguments. Smiles turned into worried brows, and little disputes turned into arguments. Tamar, who was always the center of attention, appeared torn between controlling the mayhem and making her presence known, all around her. She made an effort to mediate in order to reduce the escalating tension, appeared to spark more conjecture. Mendez, who was standing close by, seemed at ease and oddly tensioned, a paradox that fueled the flames. After reading about the event, fans would never stop speculating about what they actually saw and what they believed they saw. However, at that precise time, the energy was nearly electric, charged with unspoken disagreement, curiosity, and expectation. The first dramatic turn did. Someone brought up an earlier instance, an apparently little miscommunication that had never been settled. Fingers were pointing, voices were rising, and the room turned to drama that was taking place as a result of the mention. Tamar tried to take over again, speaking firmly but measured, attempting to remind everyone that the purpose of the evening was to celebrate rather than to engage in conflict. However, the moment was over, and what came next was a string of quick, unexpected incidents that would have on all parties. To diffuse tensions, pulled them away warnings. Tamar, however, felt the pain of betrayal, observing tiny insults passed off, judgmental looks, and the subtle changes in loyalty. She had to strike an impossible protecting the delicate artwork, and when an unexpected guest showed the tension increased even more. Someone most people had not expected. The spaces, the energy, light-hearted fun to severe scrutiny in an instant. Whispers became conjecture, and conjecture became charges. Online fans perusing the sporadic posts, these dissed people perplexed and longing for clarification. But the truth remained elusive. What should have been a normal get-together in the kitchen was when the drama of the evening peaked. Standing on the main group are Tamar and Mendesi, conversed in a way that caught everyone's attention. The emotions underneath the calculated phrases were unfiltered. Tamar's tone swung between defensiveness and exasperation. Account of the discussion. "I don't know why everyone keeps assuming things," she reportedly remarked. She sounded frustrated at the same time. Mindy's firm's response rest, tensions, sentence played out the room's breath. In another corner, conscious that every word and gesture had significance that extended well beyond the present, family members were having their own private yet passionate conversations. Some were worried about Tamar, while others were worried about the relationship that had developed between her and Mondays. Whispers of support, shifts, and alliances. Witticism and doubt. The evening was a fun a maze of feelings, allegiance, and treachery. Later, fans would argue over each individual, analyzing each for unspoken significance. However, the immediacy of what was happening at the time overwhelmed everyone in attendance. With time running out, Tamar made the decision too, with the intention of gathering her thoughts and regaining her composure. She withdrew momentarily. After relocating to a more sedate place away from, she encountered yet another turn of events. At the growing tension of the evening, a buddy came that went further than she had expected. "Please leave us guessing," the buddy remarked, her voice quivering with annoyance and taken aback. Tamar found it difficult to react, since she knew that any response may be construed in a variety of ways. Unresolved disputes and unanswered questions intensified the mood as emotions ran high. The night appeared to go on forever, with new unexpected encounters every hour that were unpredictable. Tamar's family made an effort to mediate, occasionally intervening to diffuse possible conflicts. However, the quick speed of events and the intensity of feelings, Tamar and Mendez's interactions became the main focus, attracting the attention of friends, relatives, and eventually fans who would closely examine every line. Every chuckle, every look was examined, discussed, and conjectured, adding layers to a story that was rapidly taking on a life of its own. Had largely dispersed by late evening, was far from. There were rumors about what had happened. Parts of conversations, vague words, and tantalizing clues of conflict are shared by fans. The family was split up. Concern was voiced by some, confusion by others, and silent observation by some who were unwilling to take sides. Meanwhile, Tamar struggled with the intense pressure of being the focal point of a narrative that appeared to get more dramatic by the second. As the evening wore on, the conflict between private reality and public perception grew more apparent. Online fans conjectured about supposed allegations, whispered secrets, and possible confrontations, although others in attendance were aware that the reality was much more complex. Tamar's well-considered yet intensely felt remarks were analyzed and interpreted in a variety of ways. Every look and gesture turned into a source of conjecture. Every hesitancy and halt is a source of curiosity, both in the room and on social media, where fans and followers found it difficult to distinguish reality from rumor, emotions, truth from conjecture. The evening reached a dramatic crescendo in the early hours of the morning due to a last occurrence. A miscommunication led to an argument. Accusations were hurled across the room, voices were raised, and tears were shed. Tired but determined, Tamar tried to take charge by reminding everyone of their relationships and the need of understanding. But the relationships, public opinion, had been altered by the night's dynamics. Long after the lights went down and the doors were closed, Conjecture and conversation would continue due to the intensity of the evening and the uncertainty of what had happened. Following the incident, social media and reactions, interpretations, and heated discussions. Every article, message, and mysterious comment was examined and magnified. As fans stood up for Tamar, emotions were running high. The family had to navigate the complex web of perception, criticism as a result of her acts, and discernment. The night had turned into a narrative unto itself, one that made it difficult to distinguish between reality and conjecture. In the midst of the storm, Tamar had to deal with the reality of a narrative that was taking on a life of its own. A perfect storm of mystery, drama, evenings events, as well as the online conjecture. With the stories circulating online, friends and relatives found it difficult to reconcile what had transpired. Fans were left demanding explanation and a conclusion. More twists, discoveries, and drama were in store. As the night grew quieter, the drama kept developing in real time, drawing in viewers from all across the world. The fallout from difficult conversations and furious clashes hung like a heavy mist. Sitting in a corner, Tamar tried to make sense of the chaos all around her. However, the gravity of what had transpired would not let go. Mendez, on the other hand, continued to be in the spotlight, his composed demeanor concealing a whirlwind of contradictory feelings. As they tried to put together what had actually transpired, friends whispered to one another. The spirit of the evening had shifted from celebration to scrutiny, as fans on the internet started crafting their own stories being posted. Every action and statement is being scrutinized by public conjecture. Those in attendance were shocked by the first significant discovery, which came as a surprise. Someone disclosed that earlier in the evening, Tamar had received some unsettling news. A revelation that shocked everyone in the room. Were delivered softly. Their significance was too great to be disregarded. As the ramifications became clear, feelings were running high. And all of a sudden, tension filled the room. Questions emerged from whispers. The brittle facade of normalcy crumbled under the weight of suspicion and worry as questions turned into accusations. The family was split apart. While some choose to remain impartial, others secretly pass judgment. Unwilling to take sides in an increasingly explosive, people's demands for answers transformed conversations into confrontations. And Tamar battled to balance the pressure of the evening's discoveries with the desire to defend herself reply. She tried to explain in a calm but strained voice, but each word seemed to provoke more discussion. For his part, Mendez upheld a cautious equilibrium. The tension between them was evident, even if they weren't entirely defending or blaming. Fans observing via short-lived social media posts and mysterious posts were left ravenous for information. Their imaginations unbridled and conjecture erupted like wildfire. The night itself appeared nearly unrecognizable from the time it had begun, with each fragment enlarged and each unclear statement analyzed. As the drama intensified, an unexpected guest showed up. Someone who had been on the outskirts of the social circle for a long time. The dynamics immediately changed as a result of their arrival. As long-standing grievances were rekindled and latent tensions emerged, accusations flew. Emotions erupted into moments of unadulterated confrontation as voices overlapped throughout the room. Tamar tried to mediate. Her attempts to remain composed were met with doubt and opposition. Why does this have to happen every time? She spoke in a tone that was both vulnerable and frustrated. Some people found resonance in the words, while others saw them as guilt or evasion. The family attempted to step in after realizing how precarious the situation was. However, their attempts were frequently too late. The evening's emotional energy caused events to spiral out of control. The story took yet another dramatic turn, when a furious dispute broke out between the argument between two close friends was based on perceived betrayals, unspoken insults, and previous miscommunications. Tamar was caught in the midst, divided between upholding peace and defending one side. The room was infused with an almost intolerable intensity, and emotions were running high. Those gifts examined every look, every word, and every move. And followers who were eager to learn more eventually analyzed them online. The tension turned into a spectacle as the evening's narrative started to develop a life of its own that was influenced by both fact and perception. As the evening wore on, Tamar and Mendez started having increasingly individual conversations away from the larger group. The conversation, calm but heated, touched on misconceptions, anxieties, and the burden of expectations. According to reports, Tamar expressed dissatisfaction with how her behavior was perceived. Mendez's voiced worries about emotions were running high due to the quick escalation of events. Their comments were shaped by a combination of defensiveness, vulnerability, and residual tension. The conversation's private setting stood in stark contrast, too, with the main room's public show taking place. However, rumors continued to circulate even during these peaceful times. Later, fans pictured each syllable reading with emotion and intent. Remarks that had been heard, if at all, just in part. Family members argued quietly in a different area, attempting to distinguish fact from fiction. Alliances and loyalty were put to the test, shifted, and the evening's emotional toll was felt. Others said they were worried about Mendez, others about Tamar, and some about themselves. The drama went beyond being caught in the crossfire of opposing narratives. Speech with gestures and looks that expressed secret feelings and unspoken opinions. The night had turned into a complicated web of connections, disputes, and secrets. Every thread heightened the suspense and ambiguity that characterized the assembling. An important turning point had place in the early morning. A piece of information that appeared to validate some of the circulating rumors was disclosed by a friend, even though the specifics left unclear. Tamar was clearly rattled by the discovery, which sparked further rumors and anxiety. "It's unbelievable that everyone is as if it were confirmed." She reportedly uttered these words, her voice and incredulity. In a composed response, Mendez acknowledged the worry, but asked for patience. However, the atmosphere in the room had already changed, and were now seen through the prism of scandal and intrigue. Online fans continued after reading the bits and ambiguous clues. Stories that occasionally surpassed reality as discussions went on. Tamar had to deal with the immediate emotional fallout as well as the larger online narrative. Every conversation and explanation was tense. Allegations of deception, incomplete truths, and selective disclosure were leveled as friends and family negotiated their roles in the developing drama, leaving Tamar trying to maintain control over a situation that had already started to spiral out of control. Loyalty was put to the test. Emotions ran hot, and the relationship complication added layers to the already unstable scenario. The interpersonal drama of the evening culminated in a heated discussion between Tamar and a relative who accused her of exaggerating and drawing unwarranted attention. Tears were shed, voices were raised, and the room turned into a little version of the greater public discussion that would eventually take place online. It was tempting to strike a balance between tact and honesty in Tamar's measured but emotionally intense comments. However, everyone in attendance was profoundly affected by the intensity of the altercation. Mendez,